Good morning students, I welcome you all for the online class of economics. Today we will continue the infrastructure chapter and we are the last part of the chapter. Infrastructure, one part will be left out. In the second video I will be making the health regarding. Nice, I was explaining to you energy. Now we will be going to learn the types of energy. Very first, tidal energy, you can see there. It is considered inexhaustible source of energy. It has great potential for future power and electricity generation because of the total amount of energy contained in the system of energy depending upon the orbital mechanism of the solar system. It is considered as inexhaustible because it cannot be, and as it is tidal energy, it is very potential capacity for future power and electricity generation because of the total amount of energy contained in the system of energy. As it is natural, tidal energy running with the airs, has till our life we can have the tidal energy throughout the life. Orbital mechanism of the solar system, it will be working. It has high capital cost and low running cost. That is another advantage of tidal energy, that it is having high capital, though it is having high capital cost, but the running cost, maintenance cost is very less. As a result, a tidal power scheme may not produce returns for years. Investors are reluctant to invest in such projects. Effort should be made by government to finance projects generating tidal energy. Definitely government must motivate there to start tidal energy power plant because it has the very first advantage is that it is inexhaustible source of energy. So it is very important that tidal energy must get importance and government must try to start. As solar energy is there, same way tidal energy must be started in many of the areas where we can get easily the raw materials for the production of this tidal energy. Solar energy, when we talk about the second power generation, that is the solar energy, has the name is solar energy, run with the power of the sun. So sun, as we know, in our country all around the year we are getting the sun sun energy. So here we can have the solar energy. India receives 5000 trillion kilowatt hour of solar radiation per year. Most parts of the country have 300 clear sunny days in a year, but we are having 365 days. It is possible to generate 20 megawatt solar power per square kilometer land area. And we can see the resultant here in our own area. In Chhattisgarh, many areas solar power stations has been set up so that we can generate the electricity with the help of this solar energy. So it is a real example at our locality now at present 2022 we can see the situation of solar energy. Solar energy is comparatively pollution free, definitely. Solar energy is being used for water heating, cooking, lighting and for agriculture industrial operation, that also we know. And it requires little maintenance cost and it is thus more economical source of energy as compared to tidal energy. Last comes wind energy, students. Wind energy, when we talk in the past, wind energy was generated through windmills and was used for minor irrigation and agricultural operations. Wind energy, you can see Rajasthan areas and the other areas where the heavy wind is blowing. There we can have the Haryana and Kerala. Many areas are there. The wind energy they are using for agriculture irrigation purpose. The maintenance cost of wind energy is comparatively lowest. Tidal energy, when we see it, it is the way of generation of electricity to the tides of the sea waves and going high up. It creates electricity and from there tidal energy is created. Solar energy from the sun rays it is created, and wind energy through the winds it gets. So these all are inexhaustible energy because it will not come to an end. As our life is dependent on this natural thing, same with this energy can be generated. Now come consumption pattern of commercial energies. Commercial energy means the energy which we are purchasing and utilizing it. In India, different sources of energy are converted into a common unit, million ton of oil equivalent, MTOE. At present, what I said, in India, different sources of energy are converted into a common unit, and that unit name is million ton of oil equivalent, MTOE. At present, and commercial energy consumption is 65% of total energy consumed in India. Coal has the largest share of 55%, followed by oil at 31%, natural gas at 11% and hydro energy at 3%. Non-commercial energy sources account for over 30% of total energy consumption. There is import dependence of crude and petroleum products, which is likely to grow to more than 100% in the near future. So this is the consumption pattern of commercial energy, students. We can see here. This was the general introduction how we can have the consumption of different commercial energies. Sectoral share of energy consumption in India. When we talk about sectoral share of energy consumption in India, industrial sector has the highest consumption level. It has 42% of the total commercial energy. It shows significant development of the industrial sector, especially the factory system of production. Transport system has shown a fall in the energy consumption, and present it is 22%. Agriculture sector has share of 9% in total commercial energy. It is very low and point towards low degree of mechanization in the agricultural sector. Thus in turn means low productivity levels. So there are the sectoral share, industrial sector, transport system and agricultural sector. They all require the energy. Without it cannot be run. Transport system, they require the oil and other system. Industrial sector also required coal, petroleum, many other resources which is generated through the nature. Agriculture sector also require energy for the purpose of irrigation and other mechanized system. Power, electricity, when we see, students, power, commonly called electricity, is the most significant important term of energy. It is often identified with progress in modern civilization. Okay, power electricity it is the light by which we can see now. Without the candles we can work day and night. So sources of electricity are water, it gives hydroelectricity, oil, gas, coal, they give thermal electricity, radioactive element like uranium, plutonium, they give atomic power or nuclear power energy. Pattern of electricity consumption, when we see, electricity is a secondary form of energy produced from primary energy resources. Primary energy consumption takes into account the direct and indirect consumption of fuels. We know very well. The secondary source in India consists of coal, oil, petroleum, electricity, natural gas. In India in 2003 and 4, when we see, thermal sources accounted for almost 70% of power generation capacity. Hydro, wind and nuclear sources accounted for 28 and 2.4% respectively. India's energy policy encourages two energy resources, hydel and wind. Atomic energy is an important source of electric power. At present, nuclear and atomic energy account for only 2.4% of total primary energy consumption. Emerging challenges in the power sector, when we see, student, there is energy crisis in the country. The demand for all commercial fuels more than its supply. Also, there is poor quality and quantity of coal reserves of the country. There is severe shortage of power supply. There is excess demand for electricity and the supply is suffering from bottlenecks. Some challenges faced by power sector in India are insufficient installed capacity. India's installed capacity to when we see the emerging challenges, students, India's insufficient installed capacity, definitely. Now we are seeing, as I said, now currently the solar power has been set up in our areas which grounds were lying idle. That time it was not utilized. Now it has been set up and it will be set. So now the power consumption has been started now from earlier. So insufficient installed capacity was there in India. India's installed capacity to generate electricity is not sufficient to fulfill the needs of an annual economic growth of 7%. In order to meet the growing demand for electricity, India needs to add 1 lakh megawatt of new capacity, whereas at present India is able to add only 20,000 megawatt a year. Now this capacity has been increased, 20,000 megawatt is increasing there. As I said, many where, not only in our state, many other states also started power generation and electricity generation by this solar powers, wind energy power stations, so that they can generate electricity, more electricity through the natural ways. Underutilization of capacity, definitely now also this problem is there. Underutilization of capacity, the installed capacity is underutilized, as it can be utilized, but due to financial problems it was underutilized because plants are not run properly and many times it has to be shut down. So more efforts are not put down by the industrialist also. Losses incurred by SEBS. When we see losses incurred by State Electricity Board, which is which distribute electricity incur losses which exceed rupees 500 billion. This is because of transmission and distribution of losses, wrong pricing of electricity, distribution of electricity to farmers at nominal rates, electricity is stolen in different areas. Uncertain role of private sectors when private players, when we see the private sector power generation are yet to prove their positive impact on the economy. Public unrest, when we talk, there is general public unrest due to high power tariffs and prolonged power cuts in different parts of the country. Shortage of raw materials, when we see thermal power plants are facing shortage of raw materials and coal supplies, we all know, unable to cover up the transmission and distribution losses. The trade and distribution, the transmission and distribution losses refer to theft of power which has not been controlled. Nation's average loss is 23%. Operational inefficiency, when we see plant load factor, PLF, the plant load factor which measures the operational efficiency of a thermal plant is very low. It is lowest in northeastern region. In the year 2005 it was 16.2%. It is highest in northern region. In the year 2005 it was 75%. Incomplete electrification. Till date, as many as 15% villages are waiting for electricity to reach them. Need to conserve energy, when we see there is a continuing need for energy conservation. It will decrease dependency on foreign energy sources. It reduces environmental effects, reduce cost, etc. Consumption of energy will continue to rise in developing countries. It is a major challenge facing our country. So these are the various emerging challenges in the power sector which is faced by both private as well as public sector, even by the government. So it has to be solved out, and government are stepping out to solve the various problems of power sectors. And this power sector's problem is that when they will increase the cost, definitely the industries shut down, because the whole industries and agriculture activities are dependent on power generation. And if this power generation cost will be higher, if their cost will be increased, definitely it will be difficult for them industrialists and agriculturalists to survive in the market. Measure to cope up with challenges facing the power sector. What are the measures we can take to cope up with the challenges? What we learn, the challenges are there. Conserve energy, incomplete electrification is there, operational inefficiency we have learned, public unrest we have learned, uncertain role of private players, shortage of raw materials that can be sorted out how. Some measures that should be taken of the power sector are: very first, improve the PLF, plant load factor. PLF we have also already learned, operational inefficiency, in which we have learned, which measures this is PLF will measure the operational efficiency of a thermal plant which is very low. Okay, so if PLF is improved, that is the plant load factor will be improved, plant capacity can be fully utilized, and definitely production capacity will be also maximized, and more investment we can do in the future period of time. The Ministry of Power has launched the Partnership in Excellence program. In this, 26 thermal stations with PLF less than 60% have been taken up for improving the efficiency. Reduce transmission and distribution losses. T and D losses can be reduced by having appropriate size of conductors, proper load management, metered supply, privatization of distribution work, introduction of energy audits. Some steps have already been initiated in this direction. Like for example, you can see in your own houses now the meter reading supply system has been changed. It is a different method, by that the people cannot steal the particular electricity power what they were doing earlier and not doing the payments, and which because of that electricity was utilized but the cost was not generated. Encourage private sector participation in this measurement to control the power sector problems. In order to overcome the problems of power sector, the government announced a policy in 1991 which allowed private sector participation in power generation and distribution schemes. It is important to resolve the problems and difficulties and frame policies which can ensure effective participation of private sector in this sector. Promote the use of CFLs to conserve energy. A new and advanced lighting technology called the compact fluorescent lamp is a more efficient alternative to domestic energy consumption. According to the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, the compact fluorescent lamps consume 80% less power as compared to ordinary bulbs. How much? 80% less power as compared to ordinary bulbs, and this already has been been changed in the televisions also, and many other areas where the lightning compact fluorescent lamp has been replaced, and now more other advanced technology has been taken place which reduce the power consumption. Government is encouraging the use of hydel and wind energy. National grid, that is the all India power grid, is programmed to be developed by 2012. It is already developed there, and you can see in the state level also the power grid has been developed there, and they are taking measure to generate the electricity in more natural ways. Biogas generation programs have been boosted up for a tropical country like India, where sun is an abundant source. Solar energy should be given highest priority. Atomic energy, and we can see this on our locality also, we have given preference and we have started generating power through the way of solar energy. Atomic energy has environmental advantages and is also economical in the long run, but the generation of power from this source is far too low. So, and the atomic energy has we know it is having advantages, but it is having low capacity, so it is not utilized more because it is economically not beneficial, but environmental way it is more advantageous. So these are the various measures by which government is and private sector are coping up so as to solve the problems of or the challenges faced by the power sector. So this was for today's class. Next class we will move with the health. I hope you have understood this particular topic, that is emerging challenges in the power sector and energy sectors, tidal through the tides of the waves of the sea, or water through which it is generated. Wind energy was there through the winds in many areas, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Their wind energy properly utilized for their agriculture purpose and activities. And the next is the thermal power. Solar energy, thermal power plant also, thermal energy also we have learned. So all these energies power are there, and how it can be controlled, how much it is generating power, how much challenges are there, how we can cope with the power sector, all has been explained. So learn the points. PLF is very important. That is a plant load factor which measures the operational efficiency of a thermal plant. That we it was low and now it has been raised up. So these all points you have to learn. Next part of the chapter, that is the last topic of the chapter, health, I will be going to teach in the next video. Thank you.